chance to tap in with the kid before I start building on the subject matter for the day. I don't have long. I probably got about 30 minutes or so, maybe even less, man. So really don't have long, man. So hopefully y'all got about 25, 30 minutes to spare, man. Just chop it up with the kid. I want to talk about something that's kind of on my mind. So I'm going to give everybody a chance to tap in with the kid for about another minute or so. Let me know how y'all living and feeling on this wonderful Thursday. How this week been treating everybody, man? How y'all holding up out here? Hopefully, y'all are maintaining, staying peaceful in this chaotic world that we have going on today. Montel, peace, what's the word? Montel, everything is good, man. Center, balance, man. Business is good. Just maintaining, man. Just maintaining. Maintaining. But how y'all living, man? How y'all living? Dominique, peace, what's happening? I already know, man. You on job number 25. Tamika, peace, queen, what's happening? What's the word? But yeah, we gotta talk about black consciousness today, and we gotta talk about why aren't more of our people on board when it comes to black consciousness. Y'all done heard me talk about this in previous streams, but I have the most difficult conversations when it comes to black consciousness, whether it's me referring black books or if I'm on YouTube watching lectures by some powerful black men. It's like when that content is really drilling in on that black consciousness, that black empowerment, that black power type of talk, a lot of black people, they disconnect from it. A lot of black people don't want to associate with a brother or sister that's really into the black consciousness, that's really striving to empower black people, that's talking about the white folks, that's talking about the government, that's talking about the system. A lot of black people have a fear of being associated with a person that's on that type of time and on that type of vibe, when really I feel like all black people should be on that type of vibe. Now, I know that that's unrealistic, but I feel like all black people, especially in the wilderness of North America, should be on that type of vibe. But it's like you have some very rough conversations and some very rough situations when you're trying to introduce some of this knowledge, some of this wisdom that you feel like all black people should be able to relate to. You have the hardest time trying to convince some of your brothers and sisters to, hey, listen to this Khalid Muhammad speech, listen to this Malcolm X speech. Like, they don't want to listen to it. Now, read this. Now, we know that reading ain't their thing. A lot of people don't read. But hey, we be on YouTube, we be listening, we be watching videos and things like that. So you try to meet them where they at, and they still don't want to take in that black consciousness. And I feel like that's part of our problem, because again, it all ties back into knowledge. It ties back into knowledge itself, or having knowledge itself. You know what I'm saying? That's what that black consciousness is all about. That black awareness. You know what I'm saying? You start studying your roots, studying your history, studying your story. Sankofa, man, in order to move forward, sometimes you got to go backwards. Got to go back into that past in order to move forward. And a lot of our people, we afraid to go back into that past. We afraid to go back in that past. And again, part of that is us being so materialistic. You know, for the most part, a lot of times I hear people say, oh, those books ain't gonna make me no money. Little stuff like that. When I try to recommend them an Elijah Muhammad book or a book on African history, they start talking about that type of information. Ain't gonna make them no money. They gotta feed their family and things along those lines. And those brothers and sisters that say that are sadly mistaken. That's the true wealth right there. That's the true wealth right there, man. When you tap into the knowledge of your story, the actual truth in regards to your story, and you start unraveling who you are, who your people were, like, that's true wealth right there. When you unlock that, listen, when you tap into that, you about to unlock your greatness, unlock that power. When you tap into that story, when you tap into the true history of your ancestors, you tapping into the true history or the true story of yourself. And that's when you start tapping into that greatness, tapping into that true wealth. So when people start saying things like those black books ain't gonna make me no money, I need to feed my fam, this, that, and the third, you're sadly mistaken. You're sadly mistaken. One and only Jess, peace, what's happening? What's the word? Static, peace, what's the word? Cultivator Sports, peace, what's happening? Anthony, peace, what's the word? Doreen, ooh, you say, what literature would you recommend for a black woman to learn who she is? It's a book. Dang, I don't want to mess up the title. I think it's called Sisters of the Struggle. But the first book that I recommend, the first book by a sister that really grabbed my attention, was Assata Shakur's autobiography. That book right there, man, that book was powerful. That book was powerful. Man, that book right there, I recommend all my sisters read that book. Assata Shakur's autobiography, man, that's a good starting point, man, just to get acquainted with the struggle here in America. That's a real good book. And I think it's a book called Sisters in the Struggle. I believe that's the name of that book. That's another good book. And it's another book, man, I cannot think of the title. I cannot think of the title of this book, and I don't want to mess it up, man. So when I get the title of this third book, I'm going to make sure I put it in the chat or the comments after this video is done. But definitely Assata Shakur's book. Anything about Queen Nzinga in regards to her history, it's a powerful book as well. A lot of Sister Soldier speeches from back in the day. Sister Soldier was out. She was real in the field. Sister Soldier was real in the field as far as like her interviews and whatnot, man. Just the things that she was saying back then. Sister Soldier was real in the field. Sister Soldier would drop some jewels. Sister Soldier was good as far as her interviews and her speeches and whatnot from back in the day. It's some other books that I got too. I normally do better recommending my books when I'm around them. Because I done read so many books, man, it'd be hard for me to think of some things off the top of my head. Because I know I'm missing some books right now. It's a book written by a Muslim brother. I think it's called The Second Self of God. I believe that's the name of that book. I think it's called The Black Woman, The Second Self of God. That's a good book. It's written by a Muslim brother. So again, when you read that book, you got to read it with a different lens on, because obviously they're going to be spewing their doctrine. But when you're able to take the best part from that book, that's a pretty good book. Uplifting our sisters and whatnot. So I believe that book is called The Black Woman, The Second Self of God. That's a Muslim brother. I think it's Nuri Muhammad that wrote that book. So that's another good book. That's another good book for sure. But again, I have some more books. I have a boatload of books. The next stream I do when I'm at home and I got all my books, then I would definitely have some books for you though. Y'all know me, man. I gotta get around my books, and I get to going hard. Lachelle, peace. What's happening? Lindell, peace. Lante, peace. What's the word? JF, peace. Better future. My brother, peace. What's happening? Oh, for sure. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, that's always been the agenda. And they have done a good job in regards to pushing this agenda and its effectiveness. Because like I said, when it comes to this black consciousness, when it comes to speaking that black empowerment, when it comes to anything that's revolving around black people, like when I was young, I was naive. So when I got knowledge of self as a young bull, man, just my early 20s. So I'm getting this knowledge in my early 20s. I'm thinking in my mind, this information, it helped me as a black man. So I'm thinking that it's going to have the same impact on everybody else that's black. That was me being naive and gullible. You know what I'm saying? So when I got the knowledge of self in my early 20s, I'm like, dang, man, this is information that I feel like every black person should want to hear. That was being naive and gullible. Doesn't work like that. You know what I'm saying? So if you take this knowledge, if you take that black information, that black consciousness, and you take it to 10 black people, out of that 10 black people, you may have one person that actually pays attention to what you say. And they just paying attention. They may not implement it, but they gonna actually pay a little bit of attention. The rest of it, like the other 9, they not trying to hear what you got to say. They not trying to hear it. They not trying to hear it at all. That's where we at today. That's where we at today, man. People are not trying to hear that black consciousness, man. They not trying to hear it. They would much rather hear, they would much rather hear you talk about something revolving around, the popular things now are like cryptocurrency, all this investing. That's the popular talk. Now, I don't even want to say relationships, because the stuff that people talking about is not relationships. It's more divisive. So a lot of these channels claim to be revolving around relationships. It's not. It's more bashing. That's what I see from these channels. Like, they more so be bashing. It's all bashing. It's like, listen, I'm going to pick a side and I'm going to talk bad about the other side. And then I'm going to say that this is a relationship channel. Don't really be much relationship advice being given. And that's just the little stuff that I have seen from these channels. Y'all can correct me if I'm wrong, but the little snippets that I see from these channels that claim to be revolving around relationships, it don't necessarily be revolving around relationships. You know what I'm saying? It's more bashful. It's more negative energy. It's more divisive energy than anything. To me, that's not a relationship channel. You can't be a channel revolving around relationships if you dealing with division. You know what I'm saying? Like, what does it mean? Like, what does a relationship mean? It don't revolve around division. So if your whole channel is revolving around division and how not to, you know what I'm saying, bridge a gap, then that can't be a channel revolving around relationships. If your channel is revolving around relationships between black men and black women, it should revolve around how to bridge the gap, not how to expose the other group. How we bridge the gap. Okay, we're going to expose the flaws, but how do we bridge the gap? How do we fix it? How do we fix it so that we can come together and we can have more successful relationships? I don't see much of that going on. I don't see much of that. I don't see much of that going on at all. At all. Azure, peace, what's happening? Nakuma, peace. FS, what you say? Black people have been robbed of a knowledge of self, names, language, more. Hey, all of that. All of that. We didn't been robbed. We didn't been robbed of all of that. And like I said, it's a tedious task for the people that have the knowledge. It's a tedious task, but somebody got to teach, or at least strive to teach some of these folks that don't know any better. You know what I'm saying? Like, some of us, if we come across this knowledge and we coming across brothers that don't have this knowledge, like, it's somebody's duty to try to teach these people that we refer to as deaf, dumb, and blind and lost. And the only person that's qualified to teach somebody like that that's lost is a person that knows. So a lot of times the people that know, like, we turn our noses up at the young bulls that don't have this information, and we like to call them ignorant. We like to call the younger generation ignorant. Well, they learning this ignorance from somewhere. So a lot of these young bulls, they don't have father figures. Some of them don't have mother figures. You know what I'm saying? So, hey, you might be the father figure for that young bull, man. That 14, 15-year-old might be looking to you for guidance. So when you turn your nose up at that young brother, man, you don't know what you just created by turning your nose up at him. He was looking at you for guidance because he lacks a father figure. You know what I'm saying? We got to have that village mentality sometimes, man. Instead of us looking like, well, I did the research on my own, why can't you do it? I read the books on my own, why can't you do it? Some of these people, man, you got to teach at some point. You can't just keep all the knowledge. You can't just keep all the information for yourself. Each one teach one, man. At some point, you got to teach somebody what it is that you learned. That's the law of reciprocity, man. Like they tell you, that's one of the rules of wealth. You know what I'm saying? They say some of the wealthiest people on the planet, they give a lot. So the same applies not only to physical wealth, but the same applies to like mental wealth as well. You know what I'm saying? In order to continue to get that mental wealth, you got to give a lot in that department as well. So give that knowledge, give that information, drop them jewels, do that. And you're going to reap a lot of benefits from dropping them jewels, for giving that free game to that young brother and that young sister. That's what you're learning it for. You're not learning it just to keep it all to yourself and all for yourself. You're learning that you're coming across that information to teach some people, to teach some young bulls, to teach the younger generation. That's what you're getting a lot of that information for, man. Of course, you're going to get that information and you're going to apply it. You're going to implement it in your life to become better, to be a better person. But you also, in that same token, got to take some of that information, man, and teach the people that don't know any better, that's looking to you for guidance. And I guarantee you that it's somebody that's watching you. It's somebody that's looking to you for guidance. Guarantee it. You never know who's watching out here. Chosen high priestess, appreciate it, man. I had to take the robes down, so the hair is a lot longer than people probably thought. But it's too much division out here. And that's another reason why a lot of people not into the black consciousness. The black power talk, the black empowerment talk. You know, that was real popular back in the day. Not only was that popular back in like the 60s and whatnot, it was also popular like in the early 90s. You know what I'm saying? The black consciousness, like for moments of time in our history, like it's real popular. Even in like when I was like in college and whatnot. When I was in college, like around 09, 2010, 2011, like it was semi-popular then. It was semi-popular then for people to be on that wave, but nowadays it's not, and there's a lot of different reasons why it's not that popular. Back in '09 and 2010, it was popular to talk about things like the Illuminati and talk about the Freemasons. Like everybody all of a sudden was hip or appeared to be hip to that type of stuff. Man, everybody was trying to break down the symbolism in music videos, and like that type of stuff was real popular, man. It was real popular for people to talk about those things back in the day. Not so much now. The popular thing now to talk about is, like I said, division. Division. People are afraid to speak the truth to power because of what they are doing to channels, to what they are doing to pages. So they didn't instill the fear. And we are so conditioned to believe that social media is our only form of communication. We feel like social media, for some of us, we feel like social media is the only way that we can generate revenue from getting the message out. Like, we forget that it was a period of time when social media didn't exist, when brothers and sisters was out here speaking the truth to power and getting paid to do it. So we don't necessarily need social media. We don't necessarily need YouTube. We don't necessarily need Facebook to go out here and speak this truth to power and get paid to do it. We can go back to the old ways. So a lot of people don't understand that. But we done got caught up in YouTube, making the money and all this type of stuff, man. So we try to keep our channel active. So we don't want to talk about certain things. And they done already told you what you can talk about. You can definitely talk about black men versus black women. Notice how I said versus. You can talk about black man versus black woman. Not black man and black woman coming together, unifying. That's too powerful for them. You got to talk about black men versus black women. Like, it's got to be versus. It's got to be divisive. It's got to be division there in order for you to really pop off. Because if you trying to unify, if you trying to bridge a gap, you are now on the radar. They don't like that. They don't like that. They don't want you trying to unify. They don't want you trying to unify. They want you, oh, you a brother, talk bad about black women. We going to reward you. You a sister, talk bad about black men. We will reward you. Say abort the young black boys. Don't even give them a chance at life. Do that. Your channel will grow. Even though that's content that should be banned. Like, people shouldn't be able to talk like that. But that type of content, yeah, we gonna allow you to pop up on the algorithm. We gonna reward you handsomely for that. You a brother, you talking bad about black women. We gonna reward you for that. We gonna reward you for that. That's what we gonna do. And this is the reason why I always talk about it. A lot of times people say that these platforms, some of these dudes, some of these women are speaking truths. Well, a lot of times I find that to be false. And the reason why I say that, a lot of times these people are not doing the knowledge to the history as to why we are in the conditions that we are, as far as the disconnect between black men and black women. If you truthfully are talking about the disconnect between black men and black women, you have got to acknowledge these white folks and they role in that disconnect. So if you're not acknowledging the role that this system has played in the disconnect between black men versus black women, you're not truthfully speaking on the subject matter. You're not. You're not. The system had a big role to play in our disconnect, and these are actual facts. Like, this is not me blaming a white man. This is not me blaming the white man. It's not me blaming the system. This is me acknowledging the fact that the system had a role in our disconnect. It definitely, if you do the knowledge to it thoroughly and honestly, that's the conclusion that you will reach. When they started making laws, when they started rewarding black women for being single mothers. Like, these are things that they did. This was systematic. They did this for a reason. They did this for a reason. They said it would be more beneficial for you financially to not have this man in your life. Listen, I got both my parents, and my peoples was never, like, as far as financial incentives, they were not getting any of that. Food stamp, none of that. Like, my mom said she was trying to get this type of stuff when I was born, but they would not let her get it simply because the man was in her life. So there was no reward. There was no reward. And no, there was no reward. Let me put it to you like that. Because a lot of times these sisters thinking that they are coming up by getting rewarded from this system by not having a man in their life, when really the biggest reward is to have that man in your life, and vice versa. So that's not a reward. That's really not a reward when this system pays you for this man not being in your life. That's not a reward. The actual reward is finding the man to be down with you, having that man in your life, and not depending upon this system. That's the reward. That's the reward. Having to depend on this system for your livelihood is a penalty. It's you being penalized. That's a penalty. But a lot of people don't see it that way. A lot of people don't see it that way. But when they started making it seem like you was going to come up financially by not having this man in the household, that caused a lot of problems. That caused a lot of problems. So I don't see a lot of these channels. I don't see a lot of these people that talk about relationships. I don't see a lot of them talk about the history, the system's involvement. Because why? A lot of people, they don't want to talk about these white folks. They afraid. They don't want to get their channel flagged. I'm going to talk about these white folks. These white folks, they not about to keep hiding their hand. I'm not about to just make it seem like black men and black women just hate each other and that's just how it is. And that's how it always was. It wasn't always like that. Listen, system had a role. System had a big role. So if you're not acknowledging that role, man, I can't respect your opinion on this subject matter. I can't do it. I cannot do it. Shantae, Peace Queen, what's happening? Black Nitro for sure. They get paid off of our dysfunction. The system gets paid off of our ignorance, our dysfunction. They get paid off of our death. They get paid off of us in the process of, they get paid off of us being in the process of dying. So they get paid off of our sickness. They get paid off of everything that's negative. They get paid off of everything that's negative. So our dysfunction, our ignorance, our death, us being in the process of dying, they get paid off of all of that. They benefit, they reap rewards off of all of that. Off of all of that. So they love it when we are dysfunctional. They love it when we are at odds. They love it. They love it. They love it. They love it when we are at odds, man. They love it when we are fighting on camera for the world to see it. They sit back and they laugh. They applaud. They like, look at these fools. Feed right into the agenda. Look at them blaming one another, knowing that we had a role in it, or not knowing that we had a role in it. So they get a kick out of it. Because people don't be researching out here, man. People do not research. People don't research. That's like when a person uses the term black on black violence. When people use that term, it rubs me the wrong way. Because again, people do not, do you hear any other group of people refer to when their own people kill one another, refer to it as white on white violence, Asian on Asian crime? Do you hear any other group use that type of lingo? Because white people kill white people. Asians kill Asians. Arabs kill Arabs. But do you ever hear any other group of people use that terminology? That's only us. Black on black crime. We use it. We are the only ones that use that. That rubs me the wrong way. That rubs me the wrong way. We got to call it black on black crime, like we are the only group of people that have ever killed one another. All these other groups of people do as well, but you never hear it referred to as that. We do it though. So I cannot stand that term. I cannot stand when somebody calls it black on black crime. I cannot stand that. I don't use that terminology. I cannot stand when somebody else uses. Like I can't stand it. I can't, just don't use that terminology. Like it's a few words that I cannot stand. And it's a few words and phrases that I do not like. Black on black crime, can't stand that. Ghetto. When people say ghetto, I cannot stand that. I can't stand ghetto. I do not use that term. Don't use that word at all. I cannot stand it. When people say ghetto, when people say black on black crime, when people, when people incorrectly use the word racist, they don't know the difference between being racist and being prejudiced. I can't stand when people mess that up. When they hear me talk about white folks and say, well, that's racist. No, it's not. First of all, black person cannot be racist. In the wilderness of North America, we done had plenty of our elders and our ancestors let you know that you cannot be racist as a black person, and they have given you the jewels. We can be prejudiced. Everybody is prejudiced. Everybody has a prejudice. It's not a problem. Everybody has that. When you looking at racism, man, racism is bigger than words that's being spoken. Racism is bigger than, it ain't even racism when a white person says they don't like black people. Man, that's a prejudice. That's not racism. Racism is a lot bigger than that. It's a whole system involved in regards to racism. Neely Fuller Jr. broke that down to you. But it's a whole system that's involved with racism. So I do not like when people hear what somebody says and refers to a statement as racist. It's not racist, man. It's not racist. So we gotta understand the difference between being prejudiced and being racist. Again, the words that I'm speaking, the words that I am speaking right now, the words that the words that I'm speaking is not going to impact the livelihood of anybody that's white. So listen, I don't have the power to miseducate a white child. I don't have a whole system in place that's designed to miseducate white children. Not at all. I don't have a court system that's set up to rule in the favor of my people and do white people dirty. I don't have a whole media operation that's designed to only show the bad parts of the white community. I don't have these things in place. That's what racism is. That's what racism is. You know what I'm saying? I don't have a school where all the white kids go and they being miseducated about their history. That is what racism is. When you go to their institution and they are miseducating your children, and then your children come out and the only thing they know how to do is to enrich the empires of the oppressor. That's racism. When do we have that type of power? Allah, peace, what's happening? Deleted user from Syria is peace, what's happening? Black Nitro, definitely, power and control. But like I said, man, I used to get a lot of flack back in the day talking about just racism and things like that. When I started studying Francis Cress Welsing, Neely Fuller Jr., those are the only two people that I needed to study first and foremost. But when I studied them, man, they gave me the game in regards to just racism and being prejudiced, man. A lot of people don't understand the difference there. A lot of people don't understand the difference, man. Like, we all have a prejudice, man. We all have a prejudice. You know what I'm saying? When you go to the store, and as the example goes, if you go into the store to get some ice cream and you prefer chocolate ice cream over all the other ice creams, you don't like the other ice creams, or let's go to a brand of ice cream, like you prejudice toward the other brands. Like, we all have a prejudice. Nothing is wrong with it. Nothing is wrong with it. We all have a prejudice. We all have our prejudices, man. That's just an actual fact. Like, listen, me only choosing to date black women, that will be considered a prejudice to some, to most. But that's cool. Just like if a white person, if a white man has a daughter and was like, man, I don't want my daughter dating black men. It's a prejudice, and I'm cool with that. I'm cool with it. That's your preference. That's cool. Nothing is wrong with that. But when we start talking about racism, man, it's a lot deeper than a prejudice, man. It's a lot deeper than a statement. It's a lot deeper than a preference. Racism is a lot deeper and bigger than that. I don't have a whole police force that's designed to protect and serve my interests, whole while kill another group of people. That's racism. We don't have anything like that in place. So please tell me how black people can be racist. Come on now. Black people can be, we done been verbally abused. We done been physically abused for over 400 years. And when we finally get tired of it and we get up and speak about it, then they want to say we racist. They want to say we racist. Four Elements United, peace, what's happening? They want to say we racist. So they didn't verbally abuse us. They didn't physically abuse our people for so long. Then we finally get up and respond to it. And they want to call everybody that they never respond racist. All the black people, oh, he's racist. That's race hatred. That's hate speech, all this type of stuff. So what was it called when your people, and they are still doing that? What was it called when your people were enslaving us physically, and now they doing it psychologically? So when we get tired of the nonsense, when we get fed up and we speak about it, now we racist. Now we racist. Come on now, we can't be racist, especially when we respond. You would not have these black organizations if it were not for the mistreatment of our people via the white folks. So you got to understand the context of our anger. We are angry because of how we were treated by whom? We not just waking up angry because we choose to be angry. No, our people, our ancestors from back in the day, they was raising up the fist. They were angry. They was dropping this information. They was boycotting, doing all of that out of response to the mistreatment of our people via white folks, via other ethnic groups. So we wasn't just waking up, deciding to be angry. We were responding to mistreatment. So you would not have a lot of these black groups if it were not for the mistreatment of our people. You wouldn't be no need for it. So it's a need for these groups. It's a need for this energy simply because of how we were treated and how we are still being treated. Self-preservation. It's self-preservation at the expense of another group of people. I'm gonna finish that sentence for you, Static saying, because self-preservation itself is not a bad thing. Trying to preserve your bloodline, that's not a bad thing, but it only becomes bad. Self-preservation becomes bad when it's at the expense of keeping another people below you. That's what racism is. It's like we got to maintain our power. We got to preserve our race, but we got to keep this other group of people below us, beneath us, oppressed, enslaved, deaf, dumb, and blind. That's when it becomes a problem. That's when it becomes racism. When we trying to preserve our power at the expense of the power of another group of people. You know what I'm saying? So it's a way to preserve your bloodline without keeping another people oppressed. But it's when you preserving your bloodline, the whole while keeping another group of people down and powerless and oppressed. That's when it becomes a problem. Four Elements United, for sure. When I read that book, man, Neely Fuller Jr., I read that book in my early 20s. And again, that book confirmed how I was seeing everything at that time. And I needed that book at the time that I read it. Yeah, Black Nitro. Yeah, and being emotional. Yeah, being emotional is cool if we channel those emotions in the right direction. You know what I'm saying? But we don't do that. You know what I'm saying? Emotions, that's energy in motion. But a lot of times we put our energy into motion in the wrong directions. So we don't channel that energy in a proper direction. You know what I'm saying? It's what they call it, righteous rage. You know what I'm saying? So if we took the rage and we directed that rage in a proper direction towards the proper people, it would be all good. But we take that rage, we either go inward with the rage and we self-destruct, or we target somebody that looks like us. That's what we do. But they call it righteous rage. You know what I'm saying? So we can take that rage and we can do some good with that rage. We can do some good with that rage. We can do some good with those emotions. But we channel it in the wrong direction. We channel it in the wrong direction. We channel that rage, we channel that negative energy, we channel that energy in the wrong direction. We channel it in the wrong direction, and we gotta stop doing that. We gotta stop doing that. Like I said, a lot of times, man, we take out our frustrations on the wrong people, the people that's actually there to support us. You know what I'm saying? Like when you a black man and you in corporate America and you taking orders from these white folks and you can't stand it subconsciously because it's making you still feel like a slave, but you can't, you know what I'm saying? You don't want to buck on the system because you need this job to take care of your fam. What do? You suppress that energy. Who do you end up taking it out on? Your spouse, your girlfriend, your mom, you take it out on the wrong people. You You know what I'm saying? You don't want to take it out on a white man because you're afraid to lose the job. So you take it out on the people that's closest to you, the people that's supporting you. And that's the mistake that we tend to make. That's the mistake that we tend to make. You know what I'm saying? Nah, like listen, you got a problem with corporate America. You don't have a problem with the black woman. You got a problem with corporate America. Corporate America is who you had this problem with, so you take it out on corporate America. You take it out on them. Don't take it out on your fam, man. Don't take it out on your spouse. Don't take it out on your lady. Don't take it out on your sister. Don't take it out on your kids, man. Don't take it out on your moms. That's not who you had a problem with. But that's what we do when we suppress that energy, when we suppress that rage and we suppress that anger. We lash out on the wrong people. We lash out on the wrong people. Doreen, you say, so why don't people understand why we are so dysfunctional? It's crazy because the answer is in the question. Because we are so dysfunctional. The answer is in the question. Because we so dysfunctional, we so brainwashed, and we so conditioned, we program, and all of that good stuff to the point where, like I said, people do not, when you come with this black information and you trying to educate black people about themselves, about our condition, they don't want to hear it. They don't want to hear it. They have been programmed to not want to hear this type of information. They have been programmed to not want to hear this type of energy. They have been programmed. They don't want to hear you talk about, the only way that they want to hear you talk about our dysfunctions as black people, the majority. The only time the majority of black people want to hear you talk about our dysfunction is when we are bashing one another. They don't want to hear you talk about the system. They don't want to hear you talk about the government's involvement. They don't want to hear you talk about any of that. The only time they want to hear us talk about our dysfunction is when we bashing one another. That's it. Basically adding on to the dysfunction. But when we actually striving to give information, like the actual facts in regards to our dysfunction, they don't want to hear that because it's not entertaining. You know what I'm saying? People would rather be entertained instead of educated. You know what I'm saying? So they want to hear the gossip. They want to hear the nonsense. They want to hear the toxicity because we are so toxic. You know what I'm saying? So if I'm toxic, then that's what I want to consume. I want to consume that toxic media. I want to watch those toxic people on YouTube because I'm toxic. So I want something that reflects how I am. I don't want to hear some positivity. I don't want to hear some people that's giving me the truth about my situation, about our situation. No, I want to hear people go back and forth because that's my energy right now. So, you know what I'm saying? Majority of black people, man, they're toxic. And it's a lot of different reasons behind the toxicity, but they toxic mentally. So they want to tap in and tune in to toxicity. So if you're not adding on to that toxicity, then they don't want to have anything to do with you. So when you striving to educate people and give them the actual facts, that's not toxic enough for them. That's not toxic enough for them. We done been programmed to not want to, we don't want to go hard on a white man anymore. We don't want to go hard on white folks anymore. We don't want to do that. We don't want to do that. No, we going to go hard on one another. So we don't want to learn that truth. We don't want to learn the history. We don't want to learn. That's too boring for them. That's too boring for them. Better Future. There go Just has posted the book with Neely Fuller Jr. That's the book right there. 1G's, peace. What's happening? So they don't listen. Educators, like if y'all have not noticed, like the people that's actually really trying to uplift people, like I'm telling you, like those channels are not as big as they should be. Even when you look at books like on Amazon, like the books that's really educating people, those books don't sell like you would think they should. That's what I'm talking about. Like black people talk so much about our condition, but it's like the people. And I'm going to give y'all some examples. I'm going to give y'all 3 examples. We talk so bad about our condition, but when you got the black conscious music artists, their music never sells how it should. The black content creators on YouTube that actually trying to unify black people and educate black people, they numbers ain't what you think it should be. And then the black authors that write books specifically towards the upliftment of black people, their books don't sell how they should. So you got 3 people right there. You got 3 groups of people right there that don't receive the justice that they should. They don't receive the notoriety. They don't receive anything. They don't receive the credit that they deserve. But we talk about our conditions. We talk about the music that these young folks is listening to. And we talk about, for the life of me, I never like when people talk about rap music as if rap music, like I don't listen to rap, as if that's like a badge of honor, as if all rap music is bad. You know how many conscious artists we have out here? So that's just showing how limited your mind is. When you say you don't listen to rap, like rap is just toxic. Like that's the rap that they want you to hear. But it's a lot of brothers and sisters out here with uplifting messages that rap. You know what I'm saying? So they want you to look at rap as if rap is all toxic and bad. It's a lot of good rap out here. But then when you try to introduce that good rap, that conscious rap to somebody, man, they don't want to hear it. Oh, the beat ain't good enough. Oh, the hook ain't catchy enough. Man, you gotta get out of your comfort zone. You got to get out of your comfort zone when it comes to this conscious music. Listen, the beat ain't catchy and the hook ain't catchy for a reason, because they don't want to hypnotize you. They want you to focus on the words. So they don't want to take away from the message. So you got to get out of that programming. You got to get out of that programming. They made the beat a certain type of way for a reason. They made the hook less catchy for a reason. They need for you to pay attention to the words. So you got to get out of that programming to where you only focus on the beat and the hook. The conscious music ain't going to be like that. For the most part, you do have conscious artists that have some decent beats, that have some decent hooks, but they need you to listen to the lyrics. They need you to do that. They need you to do that. Black Nitro, appreciate that donation. Auto, you say there are black people in our organization and very good people are all in the presence of Islam. Auto, you already, listen, I deal with Islam directly, so I already know. I already know how that go, man. I study a lot of Islam. You know what I'm saying? Just due to the culture that I come from, we must study Islam. We must study it. Legends never die, man. I'm telling you, I've been on the, listen. I can introduce you to some conscious artists. Like I'm telling you, it's crazy. Like I said, when people be like, I don't listen to rap, I'm like, why? Because that music just so bad. That music toxic, it's degrading. That's the rap that they want you to hear. See, that's racism. When they're able to filter out the conscious music and they able to program you only to hear the toxic music, the bad music. And people say, oh, it should be easier. And it's still not easy because, again, everything revolves around marketing, man. They can pay for you to see their music. They can pay for you to see their videos. So they putting up money. They putting up bucks. But y'all, with that being said, man, I got a client that pulled up. So I'm going to tap in with y'all, man, again tomorrow, man. I appreciate all the comments, man. I appreciate the donations, all that good stuff, man. I'm going to see y'all tomorrow. Y'all be easy out here. Peace.